Well, hello everybody, welcome to your Language Teaching and Learning channel. My name is Santiago, and today we're going to continue with reading and how to practice reading correctly so that you can actually improve. And before we take off, I'd just like to make a little reference to all the positive things that are happening around the world. I've seen a lot of pictures and articles, I've read a lot of articles, and just like to make reference to a video that I saw in which the police and the protesters are kneeling in front of each other, and in the end they just end up shaking hands and hugging each other, showing respect for everybody. And that's good. And if there's a lot more good than there is bad, we'll be all right. So anyway, let's continue with the reading. In the last video we started talking about this and how to do things correctly in the classroom. And we had mentioned that one of the things that we should not be doing is asking the students to read aloud, okay? Unless we are using that as a wrap-up activity, when we've already done all the reading, the questions, activities, pictures and everything, then read aloud just to check a little bit of the pronunciation, not the comprehension, right? We also mentioned about the importance of maybe having a little bit of background music to set the mood, okay? Doing follow-up questions. And don't worry if the questions start, leading in other directions, as long as everybody is involved and as long as everybody goes back to the reading and continue, right? So that's important. Also, use technology to your advantage, right? I had mentioned in the last video one of the activities that you can do is, the students, once you finish reading whatever you had to read, a chapter or a few paragraphs, whatever, have the students make a little picture of one of the scenes or whatever they like the most about it. And I had mentioned, post it on the wall. That's if you have a physical classroom, right? Right now we don't have physical classrooms. We're working online, but you can post those pictures on your wall too. You can have a little presentation so that the students actually get to see their pictures before the class starts. And you can even post it in, if you have a blog, or in the school website, okay, for everybody to see. Motivates the students and say, hey, look, from the reading, all these other things are happening, right? So this is very important, okay? Motivate them. And I am making reference to physical things, but this can also be done in the digital thing, right? I had also mentioned, suggested that you listen to the song War by Bob Marley, which I said it's an adaptation of Salih Halassi's speech into music. Another idea for an activity that you can do with your students is listening and reading. Have them select excerpts from Dr. Martin Luther King's speech or Haile Selassie's speech. And you can do these activities even with beginning students, analyze it. What do they mean? What were they trying to say? What do you think? How does this apply to you and things like that, And then divide them into groups, or ask them, well, what kind of music do you like? Or what's your favorite song? And divide them into groups. We can do that online now, right? We put them in little rooms and give them 5 minutes and say, okay, now you're going to sing your favorite song, but instead of the lyrics, you're going to use the speech, okay? And after 5 minutes, have everybody expose their song, and as a wrap-up, make them listen to Bob Marley's song War, and then see how they like it, okay? Just a hint for an activity there, okay? Now, today we're going to concentrate a little bit on the students, right? And please check, this is a typical mistake that students make, okay? Let me just recreate an example, okay? If the students have to read something like this, okay? It's not much, let's say it's 1 page. Let's say the unit or the chapter is 2 pages or 3 pages long. But please, this is what normally happens, okay? The students are reading. Now I'm using the physical book, but this also happens if you're using a tablet or a computer, right? So you're reading and then you come across a word that you don't understand. And then what students do is they immediately go to the dictionary and first, beginner students translate it, advanced students probably write the definition, okay, on top of the word, okay? Then they continue reading, and oh, another new word, oh, perfect, and you do exactly the same thing again, okay? So in a reading something like this, okay, they would have maybe 4 or 5 words that they didn't understand, and they did this exact same process, okay, in the 4 or 5 words. Now, If you ask the students, okay, say, give me the book, or, don't look at the tablet now. Tell me, what was the first word that you didn't understand? One. Second, what was the definition? They will not be able to answer. You see, they will not remember. And then the third thing, you will ask them comprehension questions about the reading, they will really not be able to answer them. So in reality, you see, they haven't done anything. Because first of all, they didn't learn vocabulary, and second, they didn't understand the reading. Why? Because it was interrupted. Okay? See, reading, and this is what the students need to learn, and this is what you need to show them, right? Reading it's a process. Okay? Once you finish, while you are reading, you are creating a picture of what is happening. When you finish doing this reading, you will have a clear picture of what happened. The moment you stopped to look up the word, okay, you were creating the picture, oh, you stopped, forget it, you interrupted, okay? And then you continue to the second word. So what happens in the end, instead of having a clear picture of what happened, you just have fuzzy little things, a very fuzzy picture. It's not very clear, okay? So this is why you shouldn't do that. Now, I'm not saying, okay, new vocabulary, ignore it. No. What you need to do, the correct way of doing it is, you are reading and you come across a new word, okay, usually the definition is afterwards. If the definition is not afterwards, you can have a synonym or an antonym. Maybe, who knows? Continue reading. If you don't and you really need to understand that word, then go back and teach the students to learn to understand meanings from context. And the way to do that is you go back 1 or 2 sentences and read them again, and then you will usually understand the meaning of the word. Okay? But you don't interrupt the reading to look up the word. You see, and then you continue the reading. Okay? And again, the next word, similar. Go back 2 or 3 sentences and read it again. This is important, especially in English, because as you know, there are some words that have different meanings depending on the context. So it's important for the students to get used to understanding meaning from the context, right? Not looking up the word, not translating it, because then you don't have a clear picture of it, right? So this is important. This is something that the students need to learn to do and get used to doing it. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be simple. The same as with the listening, right? In the listening, we mentioned, okay, you didn't understand one part of the video, go back a little bit. Repeat it again 2, 3, maybe 4 times. You probably understand better. And if you really didn't understand, then you put the subtitles, right? The same here. You don't understand the word. Go back and read this part again and again, 2 or 3 times, and I'm sure you'll understand. Don't interrupt the reading by doing something else. Continue the reading. And even if you didn't understand, don't worry about it. Continue reading. You will probably understand it better. It will be difficult in the beginning to do that, but you need to get used to it. You need to be realistic. The same as the bicycle. Remember, the first time you grab a bike, you're going to fall, and you're going to fall again and again and again. You need to keep trying. The same with the reading, the same with the skills, right? You need to have a clear picture of what is said. Let me use another example or sort of metaphor, okay? Reading is like blowing up a balloon, okay? And this is the end result, okay? When you finish reading this page, this is the end result. When you start reading the page, you have this, correct? Now, as you are reading, okay, it's like you're blowing up the balloon, right? So you're going, okay? When you are reading, when you get to the new word, okay, if you stop to look the word in the dictionary, it's like doing that, okay? However, if while you're reading the word, you come into a word that you don't understand, and the balloon is like this, correct? If you go back and continue reading it till you understand a little bit more, it's like you stopped to take a breath and then continue blowing up the balloon, you see? And then you'll end up having the balloon complete. But if you stop to look in the dictionary, that's what you will do. So in the end, instead of having this, okay, you will have this. Okay? Or instead of having a clear picture of what the reading was all about, you will have a fuzzy picture, and that will not work, will not help you. It's difficult again to get used to it, because remember, we're human, we're impatient, we want results immediately. we need to be realistic. It's not going to happen. We need to practice this way, okay? We didn't understand. This is why we need to do this with the students in the classroom, right? We didn't understand? Okay, let's read this over again. Let's read this paragraph again, or read the whole page again if it's not that long, okay? But it's important for the students to begin to get used to doing things like that. And in the end, in the beginning it will be difficult, but then in the end they will begin to read faster because they get used to understanding meanings from context and creating pictures rather than very clear pictures and not fuzzy pictures. Okay? So, I'm going to leave you with that. Start practicing this, okay, getting used to this procedure, and we will continue talking about reading in the next video, different activities that you can do and how to select the best readings. Okay? Meanwhile, thank you very much, have a good week, and see you in the next video. Take care.